Review and consider motion to reconvene the meeting.
Second.
Go ahead.
So move.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? In favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll stand for the pledge.
Yep.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I got it, Jeanette. Almost there.
Consent agenda review and consider motion to approve the consent agenda. The minutes, May 13th, 2024, May 14th, 2024, May 16th, 2024, May 21st, 2024, May 22nd, 2024, May 23rd, 2024, May 3rd, 2024, May 28th, 2024. I'm not reading the meetings.
May 28th.
May 28th, 2024,
May 29th.
May 29th, 2024, special meeting, negotiations, June 1st, 2024, record of attendance, graduation, June 3rd, 2024, notice of special meeting, master curriculum committee, June 3rd, 2024, notice of special meeting, negotiations, June 6th, 2024, record of attendance, kindergarten graduation. It's one meeting a month.
What is?
Kind of slow mo.
Bills, financial report, employment. Stephanie Birch, special education paraprofessional. Casey Hinman, substitute teacher paraprofessional. Chelsea McCleary, special education paraprofessional. Robert Nitt, transportation department mechanic. Dana Rude, special education paraprofessional. Approve the rehire of the classified employees 2024-2025 school year, summer maintenance and custodial help. No resignations? No. Need a motion for that? All
I
those?
make a motion that all that was previously read.
And I second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Open forum. Did anybody sign up to speak to the board? Okay, Mary Orr Food Bank cap. What do you got? Is it 5 minutes?
Yes.
This week's.
Okay, ready?
Y'all know me, Mary Orr. I'm here today just to thank you guys for the school district's participation in the food drive last month. They did awesome. We got almost 4,000 pounds of food, and that significantly more than we have in the past. And it's really appreciated. Springtime is a time when the food bank is actually quite low. In the past, they've done it in the winter right after Christmas, but usually Christmas time is when we get most of our donations from the community. And so having them change that to April and May was a really good timing for us.
Okay.
And so I wanted to thank you guys. And then I also wanted to invite you guys. Every 3 years, Community Action Partnership does a community needs assessment. And this year, what we'd like to do is do a kind of a group forum meeting with all the partners that we work with in the community and get feedback on things that the community needs from your perspective to help us kind of organize and align our goals for the next 3 years. Because we have to we get most of our funding comes from grants, and then we also get community dollars that go with that. And each office, we have 10 offices in North and Central Idaho, and each office is tailored to the specific community that it's in. And so every 3 years, we're required to do a needs assessment with participation from our community members and our the people that help us with our mission of helping people move out of poverty. And so on July 11th, we're going to have a group meeting at noon at the extension office. They have a boardroom in there.
Is that
and I-
just right above the hospital there, kind of kitty?
yeah, just
Okay.
across from the hospital
Okay.
there, the gray building where the senior meal site is.
Okay.
So upstairs, there's a boardroom, and we want to do a meeting where we get feedback from all the different people who work with us in the community.
What day was that again?
July 11th.
July 11th. It's a Thursday at noon.
Can you email Tana or I guess us on our school emails just to
Yeah.
say, hey, this is what's going on, maybe here fairly soon, and then maybe right before it, so we kind of got it's on top and just, I think it'd be a good thing to attend if we could.
We would like your input. We do work a lot with the district, and I appreciate that relationship. We also get all y'all's leftover food from the food services. And that's super helpful. We just got a ton of milk, and so that's not something we can normally just have.
Right.
So,
I got a question. I know in years past, when we've done the brawl for the ball, I'd always go to, got a girl, mic drop.
Go down.
Go to cash and carry, and I'd get the bigger cans of beans and different things like that. Is that something that works good or not so good or not so good?
no, most of our community members that use us regularly are single or two-person households.
Okay.
We do have a few families, but most of them are older folks living on fixed incomes.
Okay.
And so,
So not the
And-
great big
yeah,
cans,
the
but
big
maybe
cans
the,
would go bad unless they are people who can reserve.
yeah.
And that generation is quickly leaving us.
Very
So-
much so.
A lot of our folks who are single who are younger have no idea how to make food last
Yeah.
a long time. So
Maybe you should put on a class.
It's a dime
I actually am working on that.
All right.
There's a local lady who has a heart for teaching canning, and so I've been working with her
Really? Cool.
to get some of our community members going to a class with her.
Awesome.
That's really cool.
All right, cool. Well, I guess thank you for the input, and we hope to see you at the meeting.
Yeah, please send us that email.
I will.
Please, thank you, man.
Mr. Durham.
Just a quick report on the scholarships that the Elks gave out at the awards. Scholarship awards on May 23rd. The Elks distributed to the graduating St. Mary's High School seniors 18 scholarships. Two of which the board members sent. Both some got each got a scholarship for a total of $16,250.
Oh, wow.
So I think the only entity that was higher than us was the military. The small town did a great job giving out scholarships.
All right.
Quite
Well,
admirable to hear all that
yes.
when I was there. It was such a phenomenal thing to watch.
Yeah, we've been way up at the top in the last number of years. If you take the 5 top lodges in the state, add them up, all the scholarships they give out, we give out more than the top 5 together,
You gotta be kidding me.
including Boise, Meridian,
Oh, wow.
Surprising.
way ahead of them.
Doesn't
It shows the
surprise me.
love that we have in our community. I love it. That was
Well,
awesome.
tell the appropriate channels, thank you
Please.
from the board.
Keep me thinking young. Not being young, but thinking young.
Right.
You're 55?
Yeah. 30 years ago.
All righty. Okay, presentation agenda, 2024-2025 budget information, public hearing. And that's itching to get up there.
All right, budget hearing. So this is a budget that was developed over the last 4 workshops that we had with input from you guys and discussion. So we'll just start right in with the general fund revenues.
Sorry, I can't switch slides, I'm gonna have to leave it this way.
Oh, okay,
It's switching here, but it's not switching on the screen.
okay. Learning
Driver
curve,
error,
Pardon?
driver error.
driver error.
So you don't have the clicker.
I'm screencasting and I can't, if I get a new screen, it's showing my old one.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start off with the general fund revenues. To the left column is the current year approved revenues of the total is $10,584,974, and it's separated out into local and state revenues. The supplemental levy, we're in the middle of the 2-year approved levy from the patrons, from the voters, $2,073,385. So next year it'll be the same amount. And do remember that that was the approved levy, but 346,000 of it is now coming from the state with the state tax relief, House Bill 292. So the actual amount that gets that the voters, the property tax owners will pay on is the 1 million, the difference, the $1,700,000. So we still get 2 million for the levy that we got approved, but the state has that property tax relief now that was just put in place. The tort levy is a levy we can get from the patrons for that works, that helps pay for our property and liability insurance. And that is increased by 2,000, and that's by a formula. And that does not go out to be voted on. Penalties and interest on delinquent taxes. So if there's any taxpayers that pay late or delinquent, then we do get that money from the county on those taxes that are our taxes. Tuition, we get tuition from every students that are secondary students and preschool peer. Small increase of $1,500 for a total of $34,000 for next year. Interest and dividends, that's our local government investment pool that most of our money coming from the State Department goes there first. It's our savings account per se. It stays there until we need it. Interest rates have been good. Don't know if they're going to continue that way. So we will, for next year, to be conservative, have a decrease of $105,000 for a total of $75,000 for next year. We will know at amended budget time in February and March as to what that actually will be. Rental income, $15,400, no change. Transportation fees, that's when someone else borrows our bus. That mileage and those costs are not reimbursable from the state, so we charge that entity, and that's around $11,000. And our other local revenue of $65,000, the majority of that is E-rate, where we receive a percentage reimbursement from the federal government for our internet and WAN services, and that's the school and libraries that we get that for. So this year was $2,417,808, a decrease of $101,000. So proposed budget for local revenues for next year is $2,316,494. The next portion is state revenues, which is the majority of our revenues. It's about 80% of our budget. Entitlement, discretionary dollars, and our state revenues, most of them are based upon our enrollment, our students and our average daily attendance for next year. And that's calculated on what we anticipate our students to be, enrollment and the attendance for next year. The discretionary amount is the 50.45 times the distribution factor. This is monies that is not tied to salary and benefits, not tied to services, supplies, utilities, stuff like that. Anything that's not covered under salary and benefit apportionment and other state support that's designated for a specific purpose. So that's an increase of $80,683 for a total of $2,200,000. That's for all staff. That's for classified, certified, and administration. That is staff funded. That's based upon our 50 support units. And that's an increase, estimated increase of $92,331 for a total of $4,360,297. Benefit apportionment, that is our PERSI retirement and our Social Security on our funded staff up above in the salary apportionment. That will be an increase of $52,988 for a total of $909,838. Transportation, that gets funded differently than anybody else. That is 85% and 50%, depending on the cost of your prior year's expenditures, drives the revenue for the following year. An estimate for next year is an increase of $52,416 for a total of $575,000. Other state support are all those special distributions that we talked about in the one workshop. That's like literacy dollars, what else? We have professional development, some of those that are targeted for specific things. And that is a slight decrease of 13,805 because a lot of that is based upon our average daily attendance, our enrollment, our staff. It's just a small decrease that we're anticipating for next year for a total of $322,055. The revenue in lieu of taxes is a tax exemption. The lost revenue that we received, that we recognized for personal property tax exemption, and the other state revenue of $11,000. That is a state program that reimburses us for internet services. So the amount that the federal E-rate doesn't cover, the state kicks in. So that's all covered by that. So overall, general fund revenues, anticipated increase of $163,299 for a total of $10,748,273. And jump in with any questions, but I know we've really gone through this with the fine tooth comb, so it should be reviewed for all of you.
Yeah.
General fund expenditures proposed for this year was a total of $10,684,936. Budget amendments, I have the list there, and in the categories that it is: salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies, capital outlay, property insurance, and transfers. So we had a decision unit to add a high school and a middle school parapro. That increased salaries $36,000 and benefits $28,000. Salary schedule movement by getting credits or moving a year in experience for admin, certified and classified. That's a total of salaries of $85,651 and benefits of $17,859. And the benefits portion that I'm talking about there is PERSI and Social Security, because as your salary goes up, those go up too. It's directly tied to your salary. Salary schedule movement for transportation. Salaries $10,468, benefits $2,198. We had an increase in our medical insurance plan, 7.7% in medical. And dental increased as well. So leaving the plans the same is an increase of $95,690 for the insurance plan for our current staff. PERSI rates went up as of July 1st. That increase on our current people is an increase of $45,638 to the budget. We had a decrease of 2 certified personnel. We had 2 leave when we did not fill the positions. It's a decrease in salaries for $111,309 and benefits $22,640. Decrease in transportation contracted services. It was a one-time increase for this year to cover some specific things we had to take care of in the transportation department. So we'll remove that out of next year's budget so it's not needed. Increase in Medicaid fees and matching transfers. Fees increased in our current plan that we're using, and with the increase of the Medicaid monies that we received, our fees will increase as well as our transfers. When we received Medicaid from eligible services, the general fund has to match 30%. So that increase, that's what's going on. Increase in contracted sped services, 9,500. That's our SLP, OT, some of those, and we do some parapros through Inspired by You. I was just a little short this year on what we anticipated coming through, so it's reflecting it in next year's budget. Increase in annual support for St. Mary's High School athletics of $20,000. Decreased capital outlay. We've had $30,000 in there for a few years. We haven't really utilized it, and we're getting money from the state for capital outlay for facilities. So choose to remove it from general fund. We did get an increase in property and liability insurance of $4,030. Decrease the transfer to plant facilities. Over the years, we have been transferring $116,300 because we haven't had any revenues for plant facilities. That was our way to try to set money aside so we can do roofs and do those projects. With the monies coming from the State Department, we'll remove that for the budget for now. And then increase the transfer to food service. You, Sherry had talked about in the last board meeting that increases, the costs are going up, salaries and benefits are going up. We had a supply chain and assistance fund grant that we got this year and last year. We won't have that. That paid for milk this year. That was about $30,000. We used a lot of the fund balance that was built up in food service to pay for this year's expenditures, but we won't have that for next year. So just looking at, just anticipating a possible increase of 70,000 to food service. We will transfer what is needed. We may not need the 70,000, but we're setting aside that just in case. So the net increase to general fund, 121,785 for a total of 10,806,721. Any questions on that? So the next slide just wraps up general fund. This year we had a proposed approved budget of a beginning fund balance of 982,000 plus the revenues minus the expenditures, so an ending fund balance of 882,213. That's what was budgeted. We're anticipating that ending fund balance to be about 995,000 at that 882, so that'll be our beginning fund balance for next year. We also have a 340,000 revenue that we received at the end of the year that's going to be part of our beginning year fund balance. But since that's such a big number compared to what we had in the past, we wanted to identify that. This is a one-time amount. Our fund balance is usually not that high. We received these monies at the end of the year. It was the 340,000. When the state changed their funding from enrollment to average daily attendance, that automatically decreased revenues for all school districts, because obviously in enrollment you're getting 100% attendance. No child comes to school 100% of the time. So that left money on the table. They found out it was about $105 million the state had appropriated to school districts that was left on the table because we couldn't touch it because the support units went down for everybody. So what they did is they distributed that in a one-time fund, in a one-time discretionary appropriation. We got part of it this month and we'll get the final amount in July because it's based upon our best 28 weeks average daily attendance. We're anticipating about 340,000. So it's one-time funds. Couldn't spend it in this year, but it was revenue for this year. So it's part of our fund balance for next year. Okay. So that's why I have it separated out. You'll see in the second column, those are the proposed budget adjustments that we just talked about for the revenues and the expenditures. And then the third column is the designated one-time expenditures, that 340,000 that we got this year that we're going to spend in one-time expenditures next year. In our prior workshop, we had that line item just 340,000 as an expenditure. We're required to, when we post this budget, we're required to identify them as one of the categories: salaries, benefits, purchase services, supplies, or capital outlay. So I put in here, and it's an estimate of the things that we had talked about in our prior budget workshops, and know that this is what we talked about. But as 2024, 2025 moves along, we will assess it and we will go through it and change it accordingly if we need to.
Right.
Okay. So with that, we would have a beginning fund balance of the 995,000 and the 340,000.
Right.
Total revenues, 10,748,273. Less total expenditures of 11,146,721, with an estimated ending fund balance of 936,552. So that was the general fund, which is the majority of where our expenditures go through. Now that the special funds, we'll go through these pretty quickly. These are all grants or awards that are to be kept separate from the general fund or have a special purpose. So we just they have their own fund balance, their own revenues, their own expenditures, and we keep track of them separately for something next year. If we get the funds again, great. But I had heard that possibly those will not be reallocated. Have you heard anything different, Josh? Driver's education. We don't have that program right now. We don't have a teacher assigned to that, but we had 5,000 left over in the fund when everything was all said and done. So that will remain in there. So if we start up that program again, we'll have those funds to start up the program. Voc Ed funds, we get an amount every year. State revenue, 35,000 is what we're anticipating for next year. And that is currently it's for a welding program, a shop program, and a business program. State technology, we receive funds from the state for for IT staff, contracted services, and technology supplies. And we get a little bit of E-rate in there for our contracted services. Beginning fund balance of 126,000 plus 15. E-rate, state revenue 118,000 for a total of 259 available. What we pay out of there is our IT department. We have contracted services with Northwest IT that does our network, takes care of our network, and then technology supplies. The next is state drug-free dollars. That's one of our special distributions, and we've been paying our cameras, getting our cameras updated out of that fund. Title I is improving basic programs, assist students to meet academic standards. That currently we've been paying, we have 2.5 teachers out of there with purchase services and supplies. Age, we pay for 6.5 parapros, and the preschool would pay for a 0.3 of a parapro. Any questions on those? Next page, last page, Medicaid dollars. This kind of mirrors for what we this year. Well, federal revenue about 150,000 with transfers in from the general fund of 60,000 for a total of 210,000, and that helps pay for SLPs and occupational therapy and some of the parapros that we contract with. Title IV dollars is student support academic enrichment, and we pay a percentage of a behavior intervention parapro out of there. Title II is to support effective instruction, so we do staff professional development out of that fund. Local revenues is our adults and student revenues. Federal revenue is their federal reimbursement, and the transfers in of 85,000. That's the 70,000 that we were going to transfer if needed, and the 15,000 is the general fund has to pay for Social Security taxes.
With revenue and expenditure. Total, 665,000.
666.
66.
Yeah, what the first part,
Yeah.
first group is your revenues, your available funds, and the next group is paying out. So
Yes.
so next year, I'm looking at that we would spend all of the monies available.
Right.
Yes. Plant facilities is the money we've set aside forever and a day. And then we did get some county revenues the last this last year that was property tax revenues that they tax dated properties that the county had sold that was part of our board's plant
Yep.
facilities.
Okay.
And Jill Gilmore will speak to more detail.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's timing out, and it also shows one slide at a time. So those are the kinks we have to work out
We'll
with
work
new
it out.
technology.
So if those 600, that list did get done, we would have an ending fund balance of 526,000. You also see in the transfers in, there's 116,000. That's coming from the far column, the lottery funds.
Uh-huh.
The State Department's not funding that anymore. They're using that towards the modernization funds that are coming our way. So I propose that we take the money out of that fund at 116,000 and transfer into the plant facilities. So it's still used for plant facilities. It's just not in its own fund anymore because we don't. America Schools, the $14 million grant that we received, that 746,000 is our 5% match that we are required to do. So we've set that aside and won't touch it for anything else. And the last one is we have to have a fund that's designated for bus purchases, and that's where that is. We put money aside for that, and that's where our bus purchases come out of that. Any questions? Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
All right, G, superintendent's report.
Superintendent report. You're gonna get a hard copy. It's not gonna show on the screen tonight.
White House.
What are you getting here?
I'll just
It's
look
falling
off on my computer. Thank
How
you,
come it's stapled on the wrong side?
because
Why am I
I'm still
falling apart?
learning how to use the copy machine.
Do you like him more than you like me? What's this?
How come his is the
Mine's
upper
all
left
falling. I
corner?
got like 14 of them. Beth, is yours better?
I like to try all
Sounds
four
like
corners and share, so they can all share.
Huh.
I got 2 pens.
Oh, here
He's looking for
You got my bifocals. You can have, yes, Mary, you can have my copy. Okay. I know. Okay. The first few slides are just some fun pictures because I always like to highlight our students. And as you know, the month of May is like, we schedule an entire year of events in 1 month. All right, the first picture, you have some field trips. I also shared these in some of the board reports. So just fun. You got the 5th grade that decorated the. Oh, I didn't show you this.
where's the
I didn't.
picture?
I thought it would be up
photos.
here. Sorry,
There's
I
no
didn't put them
photos
in
here.
your. I didn't put them in there.
Board?
Here you go. I thought they'd be up on the screen.
Oh, okay, all
Sorry.
right, okay.
I don't know about
Save the
this.
paper, color and paper.
What first photo?
Just imagine.
And we already
Right.
gave you your superintendent evaluation.
I know. See.
Really?
Oh, man.
Gee.
Do we need a box on there for technology?
Yeah.
Well,
Technological support.
Can I put that on the next
middle back.
technology?
Technological support.
Okay, so we had some field trips. Imagine the 5th grade went to the cemetery and decorated the cemetery on Veterans Day with American flags. Imagine the 6th grade went to the historical museum with Miss Dole at the in Benoit. Imagine some school events. Smokey Bear came and talked to the preschool, the little kids,
Yeah.
and gave them some fire safety tips for the summer. Imagine a field day at Hayburn. They just ran around and played a bunch of different games
Yeah.
with volunteers and staff and residents. I mean, those kids were so happy. Imagine more events. Book blast at Upriver and the Hayburn, where all the little kids got at least one book that they picked out, and so they could start their summer just enjoying a good book to read. So keep the reading going for the summer. And imagine the 8th grade went to visit the high school as they get ready to start high school next year as a freshman. And imagine the 6th grade, 5th and 6th grade went to visit the middle school to get a little orientation on what middle school is going to be like for them. Imagine graduations. We had preschool graduation. We had kindergarten at Upriver. We had kindergarten at Hayburn. We've had a bunch of pictures. Now you have the next slide.
I got to see some of those seniors at Fire Guard School this morning. I did opening comments up there.
Cool.
There's a lot of seniors. We had a couple here from town that were up there, and it was fun to see them.
Neat.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very neat. Yeah. I mean, I go back to those pictures, and then I always like to uphold our vision and our mission for our students. Because when you, yeah, I'm going back to your little, thank you.
Okay.
I just jumped to mission and vision.
That's okay.
When you see all those events and the students graduating, it just is a testament to the work we're doing. So kids walk across that stage with those skills and knowledge and confidence.
It's been the most rewarding thing I've seen in a
Yeah.
long time. That's pretty awesome.
It's like that reminder we're on the right track.
Yeah.
I'll go back to slide 6, which was thank you, school board, because June is the month of school board member appreciation.
Want to
Get
get
my
a big
points
check?
back.
Is it really?
You get, thank you. You get this wonderful team.
We get a month off?
You get to govern our kids that you just saw in all those fantastic pictures that we just talked about.
Sweet. One
So,
month.
thank you. Thank you for your service, school board. And then back to the vision and mission that you all helped us write. I just always like to lift that up. And again, some of those pictures and some of the events that staff and kids and families participated in were examples of our value statements. And then we have our district and superintendent goals. And I'm going to share some preliminary data that just lets us know how we're doing in terms of meeting our big dream, that vision statement for our students. So goal 1 was achievement, particularly in language arts and math. And if you look at our math preliminary results, you'll see that last year, 28% of our students were at or above out of our student population that tested. And now it's showing that at least 33% of our students are at or above grade level in math. Now, what that means is we had 100 students proficient or advanced, and now we have 155. So that's a 55% increase in the number of students proficient and advanced. It's pretty remarkable.
Okay.
Looking at our preliminary results in language arts, that again ties back to goal 1 and 2, college and career readiness and achievement. Last year, 43% of our students were at or above out of our entire student population that tested. And now again, it's preliminary. So the data is still fluctuating, but it was showing anywhere between 47 and 56% of our students now at grade level or above out of our entire student population that tests. That means another 75 students are proficient advanced. So that was also an increase by 55% of the number of students that are proficient advanced. Again, remarkable, right? That's some hard work. And that takes everybody. And that's just a sign, those markers are a sign that we're on the right track in meeting our mission and vision for our kiddos. Then the IRI is the reading inventory for our kinder, first and second grade. And so you'll see the preliminary results are showing 60% of our students are reading ready. And that's a 6% increase from our student population that test. The next slide is our language arts. It's some cohort data, which people like to see, kind of a 3-year trend. And so I'll just highlight a few.
That's his math. Math or language arts?
Whichever one you want to look at first.
Oh, you said
math.
I thought you said language arts. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, math first.
Mine
Okay.
says math.
We'll look at math.
Okay.
There's some spotlights in that data. You'll look grade 4 as a cohort. And as a grade 4, they have increased.
Okay.
Grade 3, just from 2020 to 21, they've increased. They're back on the up and up. Spotlight grade 5, you'll see an increase from grade 5 to grade 5, not in cohort, but grade 5 to grade 5. Actually, from last year to this year, that's they're more than double.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 When you
Wow.
follow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh. Another spotlight is look at 7th grade. They stayed about the same as the 7th grade, from 7th grade to 7th grade. And then as a cohort, slight increase. 8th grade is another high point. They increased as an 8th grade and as a cohort pretty significantly. 11th grade, again, from last year to this year, they doubled in the number of students that are proficient or advanced in math. And then overall, as a district, you see an increase.
What is 33% as far as term of student, number of students?
Yes, I have that number for you.
I like how you color coded that so we can match each year as they progressed.
It's 153 students now at or above, and about 475 tested. It was 100, so now it's 155. Then looking at language arts, again, looking at the cohort data or longitudinal data, longevity. We have a little bit of highlights there as well. 3rd grade, I mean, especially from the beginning from 2020-21. They stayed about the same as the 4th grade. You see an increase in the cohort. 5th grade, you see an increase as a 5th grade and as a cohort. Sixth grade, you see an increase as a cohort.
Mhm.
Seventh grade, you see an increase as a cohort. Eighth grade, you see an increase as a cohort. And then again, 11th grade, tremendous gains, doubled in the number of students that are proficient and advanced. And then that increase as a district. 75 more students are proficient or advanced at this point.
It's gotta be that good work of the board, huh?
That's what I'm saying. Leadership, staff, parents, governance, a strategic plan, aligning the money to the students. Good? Yeah. Now I'm switching gears from highlighting our student growth and achievement and the hard work of everyone to just some logistics, calendar. Okay, summertime is here. It's
Oh, man.
kind of backing off a little. So 24th is that first special board meeting to start policy review, amendment and adoption.
Okay.
And tentatively, we'll have one again July 22nd. So just trying to separate out our regular board meetings, which are already full,
Mhm.
packed, and then adding one time a month, a special board meeting for dedicated to policy
To
review.
get moving on the policies. I like that. One board meeting, right?
One board meeting a month.
One more or two.
That's right.
So we have, there's about 15 to 20. I think we'll be ready. They're in review.
Okay.
They're still in review.
Okay.
And this week you should have access to start reading them
Really? On
Yeah.
assembly.
through Assembly.
Okay.
And
the
public,
ones that we want to review.
the
That we're
15
gonna
to
do.
20 that are ready.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're called a work in progress. We'll share it this week and notify you. At the same time, we'll give public access to start reading them
Okay.
on Assembly, which will be on our website.
Okay.
And people can see track changes. People can print a hard copy. People can see comments.
Right.
People can see the legal reference. They could look at other school districts. They could look at our old St. Mary's policy.
Okay.
And then these 24th and 22nd would be where we bring them on display after we work out the kinks. And that'll be first reading.
Okay.
And then based on how we study and review and look at comments and want to make edit suggestions, we'll go to the second reading on the 22nd.
Okay.
And then you can direct me with what edits to keep, what to add, what comments to keep, what to drop until we get it to a place where it's legal and it works for St. Mary's and you're ready to adopt.
Okay.
There we go. CTE shop, the new construction of, our CTE shop. That's supposed to be auto mechanics and forestry. It will be. So this is where we're at. The request for qualification is out. It's been noticed publicly. That closes next Wednesday, June 19th. There's a little bit of a design team, if you will, that has the principal, a board member, myself, the director of facilities, Joe Gilmore, who will rank the submissions. So the people that choose to apply, if you will, a general contractor, they know the criteria that they're supposed to submit and they can see the rubric on how they'll be evaluated. That'll happen next Thursday and Friday. Then that same review team will set up interviews with the top 2 or 3 candidates. We'll interview on Tuesday, June 24th, and we'll be ready to make a recommendation for our general contractor to the July 8 board meeting. With the hopes that we can get around by the fall. Bill 521, I just wanted to give you an update. Danette and I have attended several modernization facility fund workshops or webinars that the state puts on. There are some requirements before the release of that one-time lump sum money that we're looking for. And that is to assess the facility. So it's similar to what we've done in the past, but now there's a updated facilities assessment that we'll be asked to complete, along with our 10-year facilities plan. So it's taking what we already have and just updating it and using their template, if you will. There's a few restrictions on the spending if we take the lump sum, and that is the money is not supposed to be on routine maintenance, but it's meant to be on remodel, new construction, capital outlay, like a fence is worn, like a roof has worn out in 7 to 10 years, and that would be a capital outlay expense. Timeline, we're giving ourselves till December to complete the facilities assessment and the 10-year plan, and then we'll submit to the state.
Okay.
We have that plant facilities funds right now to use on some of our big projects for the summer, so we're okay. End of report.
Good. Thank you. Moving on to H, Building Department reports, food service, Ms. Chafee.
Hello. Yeah, I wasn't sure. So in food service, we've just been finishing up the year and preparing for next year. So we did send out requests for bids for milk, produce, and then miscellaneous items. We only received one milk bid back, which is the company we've been using for the last couple of years. So we accepted that bid. Produce, we received 2 bids, and we accepted the lowest one, which is a different company than we've been using, but it's the company we get most of our food from because the co-op has a bid with them. And then Danette and I worked on this spreadsheet a little bit just to help explain our shortfall a little bit. And one thing, let me just, I guess, back up. I did a little research about why we have this shortfall, because we were doing great, and then they dropped our reimbursement at the end of last year. So the reasoning for that was during the pandemic, they passed something that was called Keep Kids Fed Act, and it increased the reimbursement for lunches by 40 cents a lunch and 15 cents a breakfast. So during the pandemic, we had the surplus. So the end of last year, we actually had $150,000 surplus. And then this act went away with the USDA not acknowledging that the price of food didn't drop, nor did the price of just the cost of employment hasn't dropped. So they basically took away this huge chunk of our reimbursement, but didn't take into account just how high our expenses are. So that's why we're struggling right now. And that's why it's supposed to have a fund balance this year that we used to cover.
Mhm.
That fund balance.
Right. So we really were lucky this year that we had that surplus. So Danette and I just worked on a spreadsheet. So what you're seeing is, so we tried to just break down so you would see what meals, what we get from reimbursements, and that you didn't end up adding.
The expenditures.
Yeah.
I was thinking every month was about $60.
Oh, okay. 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 Got it. Okay. So I just took a projection of a month that had was a smaller reimbursement month and then a larger reimbursement month. So in December, of course, we're gone because of Christmas. So that's a smaller reimbursement month. May was bigger. It was actually our biggest reimbursement for the year. And I just wanted to highlight. So I took into account where we receive our funds from. So if you look at adult lunches and adult breakfasts, we actually only made $148.10 from adult lunches and breakfasts in December. In May, we made $190.
Right.
So
So it's very small. Actually, when I did the math, it's about 0.25% of our income that comes from adult meals. Paid meals. So these are students that don't qualify for free or reduced. We received $8,591 in December and $13,788 in December, or excuse me, in May. And then below the adults paid students is our federal reimbursement. So in December, we received $32,823 in federal reimbursement, and that would be for the free, reduced, and actually paid students. We get a very small stipend back from the state for our paid students also. And then in May, we received $54,000 back. So really, when I did the math, about 0.25% is where our income comes from adults. About 20% comes from paid students, and 80% comes from our federal reimbursement. And then when I projected what could happen next year, let's see. And I think I did that hoping we would know what the federal reimbursement rate is, but we still don't know. We haven't, with this, the USDA hasn't released that yet. So just knowing our expenses are $60,000, I think my main point here was to show that no matter how much we raised adult meal prices, it's
Make a big
such.
bite.
I mean, we could raise it to $10 a meal, and it wouldn't really affect our, how much money we're bringing in.
Right.
I think thinking about raising the paid meals does make a little sense, because that does, it is a larger portion of our budget. So I think it does make sense to raise those. And we are looking at that, I believe, in August. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about that? No? Okay.
Thanks, Sherry.
Yeah, thank you.
Maintenance, Mr. Gilmore. Oh, no.
Good evening. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the podium, huh? My board report probably looks pretty boring to you guys. It's fairly similar all along. I'm still right up to the last day of school monitoring heating and systems and whatnot. And fix-it requests are continuous. Lawn care, well, that yarn grass is growing again, and we're having a hard time keeping up. Summer cleaning, we got started today with some stuff. Gym floor refinishing will start. They'll be here tomorrow. Gym, high school and middle school gym will be closed for 2 to 3 weeks, and Hebron will remain open. We'll do that one last just before fall, and that way we've got at least one gym open all the time. Special projects we did set up for graduation. That should be plural. We had several. It's fun to participate in all of them, and it went well. They've had a lot of help from buildings this year, and things went very smoothly. Some of the project, what is this? The Idaho Safety Grant that we got is funding some of these lights that we're putting on the building. That's nearly finished. He was still waiting on some fixtures and whatnot to arrive. But you see, you'll start noticing a big difference around the buildings, lighting up the grounds and whatnot. With the summer projects, that didn't include that on my report. You've seen a list, I'm sure, of some things that we're getting done. There's a lot of projects to do. I think the total of $345,000. We're working still on some scheduling of those things. Trying to get people from out of town to get scheduled and pinned down on a date's a little tough, but they've all assured me we will get it done before school starts. So my hopes are high in that regard. The money is set aside in maintenance. We're working on two projects in particular. One is the new entrance a different entrance to the high school, and that's with a lot of different facts of where if you're going to put a door here, you got to have a landing and that kind of thing. And you're well aware of that kind of thing. And so things like that have popped up. I think there'll be some little bit bigger numbers maybe attached to those. Same, we brought him in on the possible occupying of the Hayburn basement. So I think we'll have some information from him in the next few days to kind of see where we're standing on that. I'd say once you get the ball rolling on these things, other things kind of pop up with them. So slowed us down a little bit on a couple of those projects, but like I say, we're trying our best to fit these in this summer. There'll be a couple of them maybe late summer, early start of the school, like the masonry work on the Hayburn building. That won't affect any occupancy or anything for the building because it's exterior and on the east side of the building there. I don't think that'll be a problem. So, like I say, scheduling is my hardest task right now, is getting all this stuff done.
I feel like this is going to be a big summer.
It's going to be a very big
Yeah.
summer. Yes.
We had a lot of stuff that were on the plate that I'm noticing we're knocking those out. A lot of funds are coming your way, so we can knock that out for you. And
Yeah.
I know we put a lot more on
No,
our
it's
shoulders.
nice to get these done. I'm looking forward to the future when we can renew some of these heating systems in the building. That will be huge for us. I mean, it's going to be projects that no one in the public's really going to see.
Sure.
But it's projects we would never check the box on otherwise. So, and it's going to be huge. As I say, it'll help the building envelope tremendously as far as the comfort in the building and that kind of thing. So.
I feel like there's a lot that is going to be taken, I guess, affecting this summer. That's going to really, you're going to see that digress next. Of course, there's always be projects, but your projects won't be so heavy or so.
Yeah. This summer, there won't be a tremendous amount getting done, I don't think. Next summer is going to be huge. And that's going to be, that affects everything from the installation of the parts and pieces, but it also affects the maintenance side of things as far as custodial, getting rooms ready and that kind of thing. So next year, they're going to be a lot more intrusive into our buildings than they are this summer.
So you're positive about this then? You think it'll be good?
What's that?
I think you said this should be a good thing. We're saying this is going to be positive then?
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm very encouraged by this kind of thing. So like I say, the only way we get these to run a levy, and we haven't done very well on facilities levies in the past. And so some of these things, it's going to stop major things from coming up years down the road.
Good.
So, good. Okay. Any other
No,
questions?
so. Oh, yeah.
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Is there a lifespan on the high school gym floor? I heard a rumor that it was going to be due to be replaced sometime in the next few years.
There's a recommendation usually, and of course this recommendation comes from the people that finish the gym floors. But they say you should sand them and refinish them every 12 years. The high school gym, for instance, I think it was 22 years we sanded it the first time. And I think we're 10, 12 years into it again.
Okay.
I think it can be sanded one more time before it has to be replaced. That's my understanding on it. And then replacement is very expensive. That was, like I say, 10, 12 years ago or maybe more. I don't know. I've been here so long. I don't know how many years have passed. But at that time, it was like $20,000 to sand and refinish the floor. I don't know where we're at now.
Double out.
It would be, I'd say, well over double that. And as far as once we reach that point of having to replace the wood in there, I think you're looking at, probably between $250,000 and $500,000.
Oh,
So, for instance, the middle school has never been sanded. It's now 24 years into that. And so that's, it's holding up fine. We refinish them every year, give them another coat, adds layers and adds life to it. So, Hayburn, to my knowledge, has never been sanded.
really?
Since 1948, as far as I know.
Good wood back then.
Or so they say.
Yeah.
So it would be a beautiful floor if it were sanded back then. There's not one in that floor.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
That might just be something to keep in mind. Savings account type of thing.
Well, between plant facilities funds next year and how this lump sum, that could be some of the worked into the budget workshop next year. Yeah. Mr. Asbury will get that on the decision. Sure.
I have no doubt.
He's ready. He's ready now. Yeah.
Huh.
And then I think Joe switched and started talking about some of the McKinstry projects with the HVAC systems and the envelope systems, and that was on my calendar there. They want to come present at some point in July. And just give us an update on the big project outcomes and kind of a timeline.
Hopefully the end of July.
We'll make sure you're back.
I love it.
Recommendation I. So the other board reports from the buildings principals are there on H for you to read at your pleasure reading. And feel free to ask any questions if you have any questions. The building principals work hard on them. They've got lots of great promising data in there that they're very proud of. All right. Recommendation for math curriculum Singapore dimensions for K5. So that's what they're recommending. It was a long year. We took the entire year. We were very diligent, thorough, extensive, if you will. We used different evaluation tools, as you have seen. They piloted the math curriculum in the classroom, and it came down to 2 in Visions or Singapore. Lots of conversation. People did their due diligence of being informed and trying the materials in the classroom and or following along at home. And June, we tried to go for consensus and then or a strong majority. And June 3rd, we reached a strong majority. Singapore dimensions it is for K5. Actually, I should say pre-K5.
All right, any questions? All right, moving on to J, a recommendation for math curriculum, Bogum, Milfin,
Yeah.
Harcourt, intro to math.
HMH. Yeah, Houghton, Mifflin, Harcourt, HMH, into math. So it might look familiar to you. High school recommended and you approved HMH into math for high school. So middle school with consensus is also recommending forward HMH into math for 6 through 8.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Moving on, K, Idaho School Board Association activities, 2024-2025 ISBA annual dues. You see their cover page there on what they do. I can't speak highly enough for them of the value of the benefits we get from them. You know, I'm surprised if dues aren't more, to be honest with you. They put on workshops for board members to become better board members. And it's very valued benefits. I can't speak highly enough again. Legal services to, advocacy, legislative services, property liability insurance. Yeah, so.
I use similar publications for information. We gather following week and salary schedules. All school districts throughout the state into one document. We classify as certified and negotiated agreements. So it's valuable to one-stop shop rather than have access to all different school districts with their information. So it's all the same.
Their policy services has been, and I think you'll notice, helpful for St. Mary's. Again, they do a lot of that research and extracting of what laws connected to education have been updated so they can direct us to what policies we should be reviewing.
And again, it's just a record, there was some scuttlebutt about, we need this, the SBA mandates this stuff, They're just recommendations to the district. Not all the policies may fit the district. We can tweak them however we need to fit this district, so.
Yes.
And also during the legislative session, they keep us updated on what's going on because they're on the floor every day.
Oh.
And they pass that on to us. How else are we gonna know?
Yeah.
There would be no communication out to the districts.
Yeah.
And that, I found that really, really interesting this past year. Very informative.
Mhm.
I think it was really interesting getting to know and taking to dinner, actually, some of the people involved with them, just looking for the diversity to see what makes them up. You know, there were some things, of course, that I've seen them do that, you know, they're not negative in any way, they're just suggestive that can be politically backed. But finding the people that are actually doing the work, sitting behind the scenes, the president next to dinner, you know, just getting to know them, I understand where they're coming from. I do like the diversity that I see in there and how they come together, you know, in that in those recommended senses, if that makes sense. It was really interesting, I think, you know, getting to know those people. I think you were at dinner with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being able to ask direct questions, okay, you know, he's like, well, this is how I feel too. You know, just being able to have those engagements with people that have a little weight with politics. Personally, I think the most beneficial thing that I went through was being able to go that day on the Hill. Just being able to see the interaction and how much the board, ISB, it works with individual boards to make things move on the Hill directly, which I thought was pretty interesting. Of course, I'm learning more about them. But I don't know how many you've actually got to go to. I've only been to a couple, but that's what
all of
I'm
the
saying.
districts
Yeah,
throughout the
that
state.
every small district got to at least say something if they wanted to. There was point. Yeah. It's
So
like,
even
hey,
though we're a small district, we still have an equal voice.
like I said, we took to
because
dinner.
of
We
that.
took to dinner the
That's
president and was like, hey,
great.
let's have a conversation on this level.
Yep.
When we sat down with the president, we're like, yeah, I want to have a conversation on St. Mary's level, let's say,
Mhm.
because this is how this affects us, and
Mhm.
these are new policies coming in here that, you know, we're worried about. And it was like, he was like, I hear you. Step up and say something. And I was like, oh,
Okay. Well, the president, I think I don't know if he's the chair of his Dietrich, which is a pretty small district, so.
yeah, really small. Yeah, farming community.
And that's what's interesting is they can, you know, the rural schools, the smaller schools can have a collective voice, while at the same time, the bigger schools that are experiencing huge growth issues, they have their own issues, you know, and they can talk those through. But yet we can come together and as a state, you know, with our own individual problems, struggles, achievements, highlight them through
See,
them.
Yeah, and the way the board, executive board is designed in the 9 regions, there's 8 of them, 8 regions of school boards, and then the 9th one consists of charter schools. So the regions themselves, you have a chair and a vice chair, so it'll be a large district and a small district. And I can't remember if it's every year or 2 years, then when it comes election time, they'll switch. So, you know, the chair will become like, you know, the chair might move off, or they just might switch positions, chair, vice chair, back and forth, unless somebody else wants to get on there. Same way with the officer corps. They try and go big, small, so every district, every region has the equal representation.
Yeah, I think the ISBA, the cool thing about that, is, like we were saying, is that they don't speak for St. Mary's in any way, but St. Mary's has a place to go to speak at a level that, and I mean, that's good. Their influences have enough.
Got in there. And the rest of the districts there will vote on whether they want to put you in there or not. And if you really want to get involved, get in the officer corps. And that's a pretty good, interesting deal, because then you'll go to, it used to be the National School Boards Convention, but they stepped away from that and started their own COSBA consortium of school board something anyway. But anyway, Idaho is one of the founding states for COSBA, so it's got a lot more focused on Idaho's problems rather than, you know, your bigger states that lean one way or the other. So it'll be interesting. I enjoy the years that I spent on there.
Well, Day of the Hill was really great because you have the opportunity. Whether they come or not is up to the legislators, but our legislators, 2 of the 3 in our region, did come and meet with us at the lunch, and we were able to connect up with Senator Hart, and it was really great. He came and he spoke with our history classes in school, and then Dr. Wrench and I were able to go down and walk down the goat trail with him, and she laid out exactly where the new career technology building was going to go, and he's an engineer by trade, and so it was really great to have him actually be boots on the ground. And I don't think that would have really necessarily happened without that event being facilitated by them and having that environment. And I think it's really important for our legislators to be able to come and actually see what's happening at our schools.
And not only that, once you start going down there, you'll get introduced to different people. And there'll be key people that you'll want to get hooked up with that are key voters in the House or the Senate down there when it comes to educational stuff. And you get focused on different people. I built several good relationships with like Senator Lent. He chairs the Senate Education Committee. Got a really good relationship with Debbie Critchfield, Carl Crabtree, a lot of the education people down there. I'm down there for the logging, so I get to see those people usually 2 times a year down there. It's just because when you pick up the phone and they see it's you calling, they'll answer it. Say, "Oh, well, hey, I know we got some, common ground we're going to talk about." So
When you actually have opportunities to put names and faces and
Yeah.
what's happening
it's huge.
all in play, it's really great organization. Ties us all together.
All right, moving on to L 2020.
Any agreement? Did we? Push and pull and hair pulling and
Arm wrestling.
biting and
They're
Man.
pulling.
Eating, scratching,
pizza
clawing.
eating and
Was it clawing?
Fine.
it came,
Clawing.
yeah.
Clawing.
There was no name calling this time.
Oh, okay.
That's true.
Came to a decent agreement.
That's a
and,
new value statement. You played nice.
Did we say agreements? So we say positive agreements, or I think we did positive agreements.
Yeah.
Right? Everything.
Yeah.
We get some
We got some housekeeping on the way.
right. Teachers got some recognized appreciation, I think.
On both sides.
Thank you.
Thank you for the workmanship.
We get free pizza from now on.
Next year.
Next year, not now. Yeah.
Next negotiation, right?
Don't forget the chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah.
Cookies galore. Man, yeah, it's been good. Yeah. So we're moving forward with that one.
Yep.
Wrapping it up now, I'm thinking.
Yep.
Let's wrap
We
it
just
up.
got to ratify
Just
and
have to
Yep.
ratify. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet.
You guys will have to July.
Yeah, we have another Rochambeau to do, I think.
all right, student enrollment, open enrollment, and student discipline update.
A couple quick charts and graphs you've seen before. So enrollment overall on the far right declines ever so slightly, holding steady at 914. Open enrollment, no new students enrolled in the month of June. You look at the discipline, I talked about converting these charts into a table next year, a lot like the attendance and enrollment, just so we have some data points to compare, like infractions from the prior years, or being able to cross-reference discipline offenses from quarter to quarter. So just really quickly, a couple things that jumped out for me when I did start to aggregate the data. Again, the bus citation, you see a decline. That's a good sign. And we saw the decline in cell phone violations. The disrespect offenses, while that looks high, it's more than cut in half from the prior year. So, that's a sign to me to take a look at the staff and the principals and ask them to share out like what's working in their school to increase respect and increase appropriate behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that also decreased significantly.
Wow.
Those are my two big areas for now.
Cell phone was a third less.
Mm-hmm.
That's because a third of them didn't have their phones.
I hope they didn't.
Probably taking away phones.
After
going
the
to,
first one you take away, then they're
Yeah.
declining.
that might decline
No,
more.
no, on
phones out there,
first
is what you're saying?
offenses. On first offense compared to first
Yeah, the
offense,
first
they're
offense
getting
is the
they're
redirection.
getting the clue
Oh,
Mhm.
sorry.
from 1 year to the next. It's not from first to second. Of course, subsequently.
I guess as long as we're improving.
Well, it ties in with our value statements of, well, that academic achievement, which, and as kids see that growth and success, you tend to want to be here at school, and also our value statements of creating that safe, secure school setting where there is mutual respect and also accountability ties in with seeing an improvement in our level of respect and appropriate behavior, which then supports the growth and achievement of kiddos. There we go.
Can I ask you a quick question about enrollment here? So any sales right down there, you going back to an enrollment based rather than attendance based aid? That be brought up again down there.
It's brought up in Boise. It's not looking promising. It's definitely brought up in school districts, particularly in rural areas. It doesn't look promising.
Debbie Critchfield spoke pretty heavy the month we were
I wanted
down
to
there
find a way
about
to-
like, hey, we need to reassess this and bring this back up to the board later on. So
Find money.
I'm sure they'll try to converse it next
So
year.
that the bill that has to be passed, right?
That's
It's
right.
got some funding ideas.
There's more than poking prodding going on down there. There was a good push. You know, she was trying to say something.
Didn't pass this year.
Yeah.
But she's very hopeful to find a modernizing the funding formula. So we would see more money per student, for example.
What's the opposition? I know Brad Little was against it at one point. That was a couple of years ago. What's the opposition to it?
I don't know.
Couldn't,
It'd have to be. It's yeah.
money.
It's a good question.
Well, it's always
Well,
money.
Yeah, it's all about money.
Where do they want to spend the money?
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. And it seems like there's man, she's pretty fiery. How she pushes a little bit, you know. So
Yeah.
it was encouraging to hear her definitely speak about and forth, you know.
She brought it up in a completely unrelated meeting while I was presenting to the leader,
Yeah.
Critchfield and the governor over it.
He slumped in his seat, I think you said, and then passed it on to the AG.
I just tried to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Took a step back and had a sip of
It was a
water.
direct hit
Let the
question.
daggers
Not
go,
be
huh?
a tall blade dress.
And that was one I wasn't involved, but I saw the one on the Hill when she was like, "This is a problem." She brought it up to the committee,
Yeah.
the Senate committee. We were all sitting there, and I was like, "Whoa, we need to assess this. This needs to become important." So, at least they're talking about it, right?
Yeah, she's fighting hard.
All right, moving on to N, board's request to administration, board development. Anything on that?
The policy for concealed carry. That's moving. Is that what we're talking about? Board request to. I think
Board development.
we're still working on that one, right?
There's,
Are you having committee meetings with that? I mean,
Yeah.
how is that?
I'm actually
Progressing?
working.
that was just from Josh putting together some drafts from the other policies, and then you all being able to take a look at them and give feedback.
I've been working on it right now. I'm going to try to finalize that and then send it all to you guys. Feedback. I brought in laws and introduced them about what's necessary, what's not necessary in verbiage, right? So we
Okay.
can review it to discuss.
Okay.
And so Josh already gave a lot of feedback into what needs to be discussed, how it needs to be discussed. And then I just brought laws involved. Like that would apply here in this law. That would apply here in that law. That way finances are minimal to nothing for us. At the same time, it protects both the carrier and the board and the district, right? And that's I think a really big deal. There's a lot of verbiage in there that also jumps into things that's over carrying in some ways, or financially, I think going to be overbearing for us. It was like, that's not necessary, but you'll see my notes. And so I'll make sure that I send those to you, and it's a lot of open for discussion, but then with my notes, I want you guys to read so we can converse about it. Cause
Yeah,
I
but if we can keep it on a timeline and keep it going. So
yeah,
that
that's
we
what
get-
we're at. Yeah. So I haven't finished it yet. Josh just educated me on how to use,
Track changes.
my wife laughed at me. So, so I got involved. It's pretty cool. And so, yeah, I'll be sending
So I
it.
think when
to
I
you
get
guys.
it back, we'll coordinate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Getting that one, so then you can
So that
add.
we can all look at it and.
And it's important to look at because a lot of it's like what we need to discuss, but then like there's a reason for it, right? And I'll give the reason, even if you said you need to discuss, I'll give a good reason on my portion of what I reviewed. And then some of it, we would strike out some of the stuff and be like, this would pertain to this law. So there's a lot of over verbiage in some and then under verbiage, right? Now we're like, we need to add this. This is important. So you'll see what I mean. It's very, very direct, very simple, but
Well, some of the ones that we're referring to, like, some of them are really clear, some of them are really muddy.
yes.
And I think the clearer the better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And
When
it-
there's
And it's a topic that I'm sure the policy will change, even year after year for a little bit as you live with it, because it's.
Well, and I think if 415 runs or that verbiage runs again, whatever number that House bill is, that's going to
And I don't
change the
think it's
entire
going away.
dynamic.
Right, I don't think it's going
Right.
away.
So this would be an interim to a
Mm.
rule being adopted.
it parallels very similar verbiage that they were getting
Yeah.
really strong about, and the only reason why they put the brakes on it was because of like NRA opposition, and so it very much so mirrors that, and that way there's a lot of like, in some of those policies there was a lot of stuff that was like, pushing on like, we need to control, firearms and this and that, and that's not our business, right? Those are things that we, first off, gave an oath to protect the Constitution in that manner, to not encroach upon or be in charge of or control over, what those are, right? Just a matter that they're safe, right? That they're going to be working when you need them. As far as, is it going to be a firearm that'll work if that's going to be the case? I don't need to know, and judge your caliber or judge this or judge that. That's, those are the things that there was a lot of overreach. I think that was like, and like I said, you'll see when that legal comes out where it's like, according to this penal code and to what this says and the training that's required to have those permits, right? That this is sustaining that this is that's going to be governed and trained and re-governed and trained and so on and so forth, that I think that we can rely on instead of getting too much involved to where that'll become legal later.
Goes away from the board's responsibility.
That's right.
That's the individual's responsibility.
So that's exactly right. That's
And
the
then
good
when,
idea.
when all of those things are brought forward to be approved by us, but we're not in charge of that. That's not our business.
That's exactly
We're
right.
going to stay in our lane.
Safety is priority, right? And then protecting the rights and the safeties of others was like where I've been coming from in my personal comments on it. Like, all right, this is important. This is important. That might not be. We'll discuss about it. So
So
I think
essentially what you'll see is I took two different
Mm.
district policies.
Yeah, I
made
read
the-
both of those
so those,
together,
okay.
and it was liked a lot of one, couple things, not so much.
Yep.
Didn't like a lot of things in the second one, but there were a few things that I really liked, and like the marrying of the two could
Right.
probably really be a good thing.
and then
Which I believe we have one draft. I just started the conversation on some of the
Right,
stuff
right.
and then, yeah.
and I pulled in 415 and 4111. I think it's what 4811 or whatever that change was. And I've been trying to go by and kind of mirror similar things, that was corrected so that if there is a huge policy or another a law that's adopted, then we don't have to. We're not stepping too far. You know what I mean? To where we're overreaching boundaries. Does that make sense? And that would mirror very much so what those are going to be similar to. So
But having something in place, just like
Super
we
important.
didn't have a library policy, now we have a library policy. And then there was a law, and now we
That's
just have to make the minor little adjustments to
That's
that.
right.
So if we have something in place, because I don't think it's going away in the legislature.
they said they made
something's-
it very clear it's going to come back
Yeah,
next year.
something's going to happen. So once we have something in place, and you just
That's right.
So I want
It
to
makes it that
add
much
some
easier.
pieces to this. And I'm not sure if I shared it in a board Friday letter, there's gonna be input. So once we become clear on a policy, that helps give us a vision of what we want the program and the plan to look like. We're gonna need to set up input sessions. I think it's scheduled that from like July or August when people start coming back, all the way to December to get input sessions from LEO, community, residents, parents, staff.
And that's good.
Around like those requirements, like, hey, if training requirements are in the plan, then we want feedback on that. Firearm storage, yes. So you get it, but us being able to draft a policy lets us get common.
The ASB.
I hear what you're saying.
Yes, very much so.
So
It lets us get a common vision.
Yes, exactly.
student input, I
Yep.
think we need to bring in the ASB.
Yes,
That-
we did that.
That leadership. Yep.
Agreed.
that'd
Those
be
are
good.
some examples, absolutely, agreed 100%.
Because I think it's really important that you have their voice in something, like our strategic plan, like a policy like this that really affects them. I mean, they're going to know it's there, that affects how they think and feel. We should hear it.
Yes. So,
All right. Well, move
was
on
there
here.
anything else for board development? That was stuff.
Good.
Anybody else?
Okay, hearing none.
Any requests
From anybody else?
for board development?
Action, moving on to O, review and consider motion to approve the 2024-2025 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 budget.
And second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. P, review, consider motion to approve the strategic plan.
I'll move that.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Q, review and consider a motion to approve the math curriculum recommended for Singapore dimensions for K-5.
I'll make that motion.
Second it.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. R, review, consider motion to approve the math curriculum recommended for the
HMH.
HMH, yeah, onto math for St. Mary's Middle School.
Can I make a correction on that for grades 6 through 8?
6
Instead of
through
middle
8.
school- Instead of the middle school.
Okay.
Sorry.
Because that would include Okay.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? More discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, review, consider motion to approve the contract for personnel services between St. Mary's Joint School District 41 and Inland Northwest Therapy.
If you have any questions on the next 4 contracts, I have our coordinator of special ed who can give a little background or answer any questions. These are the typical contracts that we've had for the last at least 6 years with the school district to help us provide services when we couldn't fill in-house for occupational therapy, speech and language. Our inspired health, our inspired contract, our behavior tech. Paras.
Okay.
Doing all right, Ms. Jen Miller. And we rewrote the contracts last year with the help of legal. So it seems like our services, staff and families and kids seem happy with the services that are provided from these 4 contracts. And again, Ms. Miller is here to answer any more specific questions.
What's that?
So, motion,
I'll motion. Sure.
I'll second the
got a
motion.
motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. T, review, consider motion to approve the confidential agreement between St. Mary's Joint School District 41 and Inspired by You LLC.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. U, review and consider a motion to approve the interagency agreement between St. Mary's Joint School District 41 and Lone Pine Behavioral Health LLC.
I need to recuse myself from this motion and discussion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You get that, Ms. Wicks? V, review and consider motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between St. Mary's Joint School District 41 and Sunrise Speech Services LLC.
I'll move to approve.
Give me a second.
Are you recused? Oh, that one too?
No, I'm not recused on that one. Are you seconding or?
You go for it.
Okay, I second.
I got a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. W, review and consider motion to declare the need to improve alternative authorization teacher to the Idaho Department of Education professional standards of Monique Huddleston.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. X, review and consider motion to declare a need to improve alternative authorization content specialist to Idaho Department of Education paraprofessional standards for Elizabeth Ford.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Y, review and consider motion to award the food services milk bid.
Aye, so motion.
A second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yeah, I think, we need to specify who,
Service milk, that's over here. I got that. What is it? Going medical.
medical dairy?
Meadow.
Meadow.
Oh, Meadow
Meadow
Gold
Gold
Dairy.
Dairy.
Okay. So, got that motion?
Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay,
Meadow Gold.
Or I motioned it. I think she seconded it.
Yeah, I seconded
okay.
it.
So you're all right with that? Meadow Gold?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Z, review and consider motion to award food service produce bid.
So motion.
Did you need to name that?
To,
Cisco,
We got to name it too.
Pacific
Cisco.
Let's go Pacific Northwest.
And a second?
I'll second.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. AA, review, consider motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We are getting there. 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Jen Miller, thank you for being here. Just waiting for your field of questions. Joe Gilmore, Sherry Chafee, thank you.
That was super entertaining reading those content.